The next important element of accessibility we're going to discuss are alt tags, or sometimes it's called alt text. This is another one that's crucial for anyone who is trying to use a screen reader to access course content, because a screen reader is not going to be able to tell the user what is in an image unless there's alt text associated with it. So we have a nice picture of King Henry VIII here. I don't know if it's a nice picture, but it's a picture. And so we're going to want to provide text that will describe this picture to someone that cannot see it. And again, this is another good example of a way that somebody that doesn't have a disability would benefit if an image doesn't load for some reason. And sometimes that might not even be a bandwidth issue. It could just be a web page issue. But the alt text will show up if the image doesn't load, so that anyone that is viewing that page and having an issue loading it knows what that picture was of. So when you're creating an alt tag, and we'll look at how to do this in a minute in Canvas, you want to describe the image. And it's so tempting. I always have to stop myself from typing of this. This is a picture of King Henry VIII. We don't want to do that because the screen reader itself is going to say a picture of before reading the alt text. So if you put a picture of, then it's going to repeat a picture of, which if there's a lot of pictures on a screen, I'm sure would be a little annoying to the person that is trying to use a screen reader to access it. So as difficult as it is, leave that out. When the screen reader gets to the image, it will say a picture of, and it will read whatever the alt text was. If you have an image that is purely decorative, you don't have to describe that, because that's not something that's important, that's part of the content that the student needs to know. And when you're writing your alt text, you can consider the context and purpose of the image. So the alt text may look different depending on what the purpose of the image is. So for example, if this image was being used in a course or an article about the history of the English royal family, appropriate alt text could just say King Henry VIII of England. Okay, that would probably be enough information. But let's say that it was for an article discussing royal fashions in the 16th century. In that case, you might want to let the reader know that this has describing what he's wearing. So you might say something like King Henry VIII of England wearing a fur-trimmed hat and cape, bedazzled shirt, and golden jewelry. So it can change depending on what the context is for that picture that you're using and what the purpose of including that image is. So if it's just decorative, you don't need to describe it, but think about, why did I include this image? What did I want my students to gain from that? And then put that into your alt tags. So let me go ahead and show you how you would do that in Canvas also. So I'm going to put an image in here, and I'm going to put it at the top. So when we insert an image in Canvas, we're going to click on this little picture icon, and I'm going to upload an image. So I'm just going to click on this rocket. It's going to take me to my pictures on my computer, and I'm just going to pick this lion classification. So you'll notice that I included basically everything that's on this chart here, because that's all important information. That's the purpose of including this image, is to show a specific animal and how that animal is classified. You'll notice here, if it says decorative image, you can check that box, and then the screen reader will just ignore it. If you check that box, it'll just pass right over. It knows that it doesn't have to even mention that to the learner, because it's not really adding anything. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And now it's put my lion in there. And so a screen reader can read that and let the user know what the picture is of.